Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to make pine glue. So, that is glue made from the sap of a pine tree, but in this case I will use hazel because that was the closest thing I got for this video, and to see if it would also work with those, but apparently it works best with pine tree. But just for shits and giggles, we're going to use sap from hazel tree. So, I'm going to show you how it works. I want to talk about my books called Bloody Crosses and the Jason Murders. So, if you're interested in the detective stories, there will be a link in the description to it. But now we'll go on with the video. So, for my test, I put some of this pine sap that was as soft, but still in a more vast shape, state of matter, and I put it inside of this tin with a candle beneath it. If you're going to do this on a fire, it's best to do it on the top of the coals. For the reason why is because you should not boil it. You cannot see bubbles. So now it's in a. If I see, oh, that's the one I use for. Now it's more in a liquid form, but I'm gonna put some heat under it again till it's very liquidy. And the next step we're going to do when it starts to get liquidy, we're going to need some wood charcoal, and you're going to grind it to a very, very fine powder. Well, luckily I got a lot of how do you say this, wood ash powder, charcoal powder in my stove. So we're going to use that, and we're going to sprinkle it, and then we need a binder. The binder can be anything. You can do it with how do you say this? With very dry dead wood and grind it to a powder form, or with dried manure from an animal, which herbivore animal, because it needs a lot of fibers inside of it. So that's why I'm going to use the burnt manure that I have here. It's very dry, it's powdery now, left over. I'm going to make a video about that. And then we're going to sprinkle it. So in the next scene, we will do that. All right, so now it's very liquidy, it's not boiling. So now is the perfect time to put some powdery wood ash on top of it, not too much. Then we're going to stir it. And you will notice that it will get very black. And that's the color that we want to use for this. And now we're going to put some binder on top of it. So I'm gonna use some of this manure dust. Yes. There we go. Now we're going to stir this one. And it's already starting to get to a more glue-like mess. Wait, I'm gonna put the camera right here. So it's let it work. Very professional. So this is very hot. It's already starting to look like some type of glue because it's a very small batch, so I didn't need much from it. So I don't know if you can. As you can see, this is now very black. It is now coagulated. You can see it's like a thick paste, and that is, we're going to first let it dry. We're going to let it dry and cool off till it's a fast mess. You can carry it, and then when you need it to make something from a shelter, arrowhead, or whatever you're going to use it, you will heat it up again, use it, and let it cool down again. But now it's together with the wood ash and the binding material from the dried manure in this kind of case. and then you will have a glue, and we will test it out later on when it's cooled off, and then we'll see if it works that well with hazel sap. Alright, so it has cooled off. As you can see, it's like now a fast mess. I don't know if you can see it, but by just stepping on top of it, I can you can see my fingerprint on top of it. So it's something now that you can carry in improvised shelter or container or whatever. Now we're going to make it warm again, and as a test, I'm going to glue these two pieces of my wood together, let them cool off, and see how well it will retain its glue, its status as glue. So this shouldn't take long to get liquidy again. Going to use our stick. You know what? We're going to use this. Oh, yeah, it's already, that was fast. So we're going to rub it on top of the wood here. Don't need it hot again. And you can do this with building shelter, building constructions, building arrowheads. Let's get it nice and thick. So I wonder if you can eat it. I will not try it, but I wonder if it would be considered. And now we're going to put this on top of each other, and we're going to let it dry, cool off, and see how well it will hold. Alright, so we're going to do a test again, because the first time I used it on the other sides of the blocks, but it stick together. I could reapply it together, but I still could easily tap it off with 2 fingers. So I tried it again, but this time I used real pine tree sap. So, and instead of using the dried manure as a binding tool, I used now some of these powdered dead bark. So yeah, let's see how well this will go. The test for me is, last time I could break it with 1 to 2 fingers. So let's first try it with 2 fingers. It's been, I think it's now been around 20 hours since I glued this together to see what the maximum adhesion will be. So let's see. I'm surprised. Alright. Yes, I'm really surprised, because last time I could tip these sides together and they clipped off with only 2 fingers. So let's try it with 2. Oh, yeah, that was so much better. So yeah, it's a big difference if you use pine tree sap instead of using a hazel sap like I tried in the beginning. I just wanted to see if it would be able to work well with that sap, or if there was difference, but there's a big difference between the sap of a pine tree and hazel. So that's a thing that we learned from this. So let's see. You can still apply it together. Although this is more of a one-time use. The last one I could use several times, put them back together again till they dried out. So perhaps I should have waited longer. But to be honest, it is good. It's a very good test to see if it would stick together. And I would say, let's recapitulate. You do the same things that I showed you before, but you're using pine tree sap, which is the best. It also works with hazel, but less, I would say. And as a binding tool, as the binding powder, I would say use powdered dead wood, and of course you change it like I showed you before with wooden charcoal, powdered charcoal. So yeah, I'm really surprised by it, and I'm happy with it because it is just a simple way. And one more thing I want to say, I don't know if you can see it, but the way it was put together, there was still a lot of room together. I think if this was more flat like this one, that it would have stick better to each other. I will try it again later on perhaps, but for a test to make something within only 1 minute, the second time I did it with the pine tree sap, it also took 1 minute to make with stuff that you find in nature. So yeah, in nature of course after the charcoal, but it's something that you can make during bushcraft. But yeah, that's yet again something you can do to make shelter, make arrows in the wild, and a lot of other stuff perhaps. But yeah, I say I'm glad with it, with the results. I learned something again, and this is actually the important part, because this is not the best glue. I know that is not like modern chemical glue, and that is one drop and it will never release. But it is a way to improvise. Like I said, it's not the best, but it's better than nothing. If you're in a survival scenario or you need to do something in a pinch, you got this information in the back of your head, and you will be able to do more with less with what you got around you. So that's yet another thing that I knew about and tested out, and it is also very important because the first time I tested, like I said, with the hazel sap, works not as good as with pine tree sap. So you learn from your experience what works better, what is worse. So yeah, always train, test it out. I would advise to yourself, test it out yourself and see if you come up with a little bit more potent mixture, because there is still some on how much powder do I need from the charcoal, how much powder do I need from the dead wood, how much pine tree, and that ratio perhaps will make it better in the future. So it's about all trial and error, and from your experience you'll become better at it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any other improvised ways to make glue from natural stuff, please let me know in the comments and I will try it out later on. I'm always eager to learn new things, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and look in the description for my books. And see you in the next video. Cheers!